level employee. Isn't that fair to say?
Oh yeah, that's an understatement, I think. And you look at this has been emboldened by decades of glorious adoration from the major media who desperately wanted to see her become president, frankly, in 2008, and the only reason they threw her over for Barack Obama is they loved him even more. It wasn't that they didn't like Hillary, not that people like Hillary all that much, but they like what Hillary stands for. To modern liberals, Bill Clinton is an idol. It doesn't matter that he screwed around as much as JFK or more. It doesn't matter that, if it had been a Republican in office, they would have wanted him charged with sexual harassment. It doesn't matter that. And Hillary, it doesn't matter that, to journalists, that she basically covered for Bill, that she did everything she could to destroy any woman who accused him of anything. It doesn't matter. I have never seen this in modern time in America. I'm not sure it has ever happened in American history. But this is an election that journalists are so mischaracterizing because this is an election about power. It has nothing to do with principle anymore. That whole, if you're a liberal and you want to see this position happen, you're conservative, you want to see that position, all out the window. Everyone I know, and left and right. And I know a lot of angry Sanders people. I know some strident Hillary people. I know, pro-Trump people. I know never Trump people. But everybody is all just. This is it. It's just flat out. It's a political war. And it's like journalists are so slow to pick up things. You almost wonder, do they live in the real world? And the truth is, they don't.
What's nuts is it felt like there was a build-up there by Comey, by use of his language in terms of art, like extremely careless or extreme carelessness, whatever the quote was, and everything was fitting into place to federal law. But then he decides, based on the information that he has, he makes the singular decision on his own to not recommend charges. This is a typical liberal tactic, right? They're substituting his own personal judgment for the judgment that should be reserved to the people. What should happen here, and correct me if I'm wrong, what should happen here is this should go before a jury, and a jury should decide whether this was so reckless, so grossly negligent, and whether or not there has been a crime committed. Where does he get off giving his opinion and substituting it for ours?
Well, you're missing the timeline here, and the timeline points to only one.
Oh, the timeline. Let's go into the timeline, because that's even more infuriating right now.
The timeline is that the discredited and disbarred ex-president of the United States met with the Attorney General's office that was investigating this, and met with it and expected to get away without anybody knowing about it. How did they do that? Because they knew the national press, who followed both of the two of the most prominent people on the planet, they knew the national press would not report it. And in fact, the FBI, who were guarding both of them, prevented the press from either videotaping or photographing the event. Think about that for a second. The FBI prevented the press from photographing or videotaping an event that would have made, because when you tell people they attended, it's one thing. When you get a video or a photograph indicating they met together, that's damning. That's proof that ordinary people can see. So then you go on from that. The only reason that story broke is a local news reporter broke the story. Suddenly then everybody's going to cover it. That meant that Lynch had to back out, which meant then the buck stops with Comey. And of course, now, before Comey gets to make his decision, the president, who happens just coincidentally to be the man who named Comey into this job and to be his boss, the president then takes Hillary for a ride on Air Force One. So now the Obama administration has met with Bill Clinton, the husband and former president, discredited, disgraced, and disbarred president. They meet with him. They're guarded by the FBI, who prevents the press from doing their job. Then, it all blows up anyhow because one local reporter breaks that rule and actually does journalism. So then Lynch backs out, but before we find out about Comey, Obama goes and takes Hillary out on Air Force One. And then Comey comes out and does everything to say Hillary is awful, evil, horrible, and, oh, by the way, but I recommend not be indicted. It makes you wonder, who has what dirt on Comey, who or what he's been sleeping with. Certainly nothing, perhaps, with the spine. Will journalists remind people this timeline? No, they won't. Will they remind you that the FBI that just made this determination are the same FBI that was protecting Hillary back by not letting people videotape Bill Clinton and Lynch? No, they won't. In fact, I've watched 2 of the programs tonight already. And you've got NBC, dragging out dragging out Donald Trump scandals to even things out because Hillary's got a scandal, but Hillary's scandal is she lied so many times about sharing classified and top secret information. She was potentially hacked. She was using her bogus server in foreign countries where hackers are prevalent. And then Donald Trump's scandal is one of his staffers put a 6-pointed star on a document to tweet it. And they act like they're the same flipping thing.
Now,
we did an analysis early this year. And
I got to say one thing just before you go into the analysis.
Okay.
You started out with the premise that the media is protecting them. I agree somewhat and I disagree somewhat in this point as well. There is such an arrogance in the actions of this administration that, A, they think they're doing nothing wrong, and B, they have such a superiority complex. I'm so infuriated right now I can't even talk. But that they are actually insulting the intelligence of the American people, and they're knowingly doing so. I think there's a lot more about the audacity of the administration than there is, obviously they swear to it and the media covers them. But I say that to bring up this question, and then I want to get into whatever analysis you were talking about. The media, I spoke to Neil Monroe recently from Breitbart, and he was telling me the story of that, well, the media is, filming the politicians, but the politicians are also keeping track of the media, and, daddy needs to pay the rent and make sure they keep a roof over their head and all that stuff. Get into that and then get into the analysis that you were talking about. How much of this is pressure from the administration on the media to keep them in line and to keep them gainfully employed?
Well, I think keeping them in line, journalists know they'll be gainfully employed. This election, they'll get more views this election because it's controversial. See, they want the controversy. They want to stir up as much controversy as possible because, that gets views, it gets broadcast views, it gets web ads, it gets all sorts of stuff. They just want to make sure they fix the result. This is like, it's like gamblers. If you've got a big line for the Super Bowl and, one team's favored by 15 points, well, there's not going to be a lot of betting action on it, not a lot of attention if it looks like that one team starts rolling up the score. I'm a big Ravens fan, which I know is probably something I shouldn't say on air here, but you remember what happened in New Orleans a couple years ago with the Ravens, where the Ravens were really winning big, and then you go to halftime, you come back out, the Ravens score a touchdown, and then the power goes out. That's the American media. That's what they want to do. They've got to even the odds some. They've got to make it close because if it's not close, people don't watch, people don't pay attention, people don't listen to them, they have no influence. But they want to be loosey with the football. And so when they want to make it close, and when Donald Trump goes to kick that football, they want to pull it out from under him and make sure that he loses. The analysis I was going to make a great example of this is, here, like I said, here, Hillary Clinton scandal, and what are they talking about? Talking about Donald Trump with a darn tweet. We looked at how much they talk about scandals for the candidates, 4 times as much for Donald Trump. 430 minutes this year devoted to Donald Trump scandals on ABC, CBS, and NBC, just their evening news. Not their morning news, that'd be tons more. Just their evening news. 1/4 that for Hillary Clinton. That's how they're setting this up. They went from covering Donald Trump a fair amount positively to as soon as it looked like he was going to win, they pulled the football and they're hoping for him to fall. But they don't want him to fall right away. If he falls right away, nobody watches them.
And that's pretty much it. Listen, I'm literally tongue-tied due to the events of today. But the one thing we have to do is we have to plug all the great works that Newsbusters is doing. Like I say, every month, it's on my daily blog roll. I check them out every day. I'm definitely checking them out this week to see all the intellectual dishonesty coming not only from the administration, not only from the FBI, but from the media. And tell everybody all the places to check out this week with Newsbusters to get the most up-to-date information about how the media is covering this and other Clinton scandals. Because, we still have to talk about Clinton Foundation and a whole bunch of other stuff, right, Dan?
Obviously, you should go to newsbusters.org first of all, because that's the main page. But I also started a brand new column just in between last time I was on and this time. A weekly roundup of the most twisted, bizarre, crazy garbage you find on the liberal web. This week, it outdid itself to the point where we couldn't even discuss a couple of the items on air. That'll be in the culture tab. Very easy to find. I recommend you reading it and sharing it and all that, because here's the problem with the left. We all ignore the most insane things that they do. We all ignore that they call The Shallows, that new Blake Lively movie, white survival porn, because we care about her, we don't care about the local people dying. Well, you know what? You never care about the extras dying. You never care about the people who got 1 or 2 lines. You care about the star. That's the way Hollywood works. Tell them to get better agents. You don't care. When I talk about Cosmo, which, like I said, we will not go into detail about one of the Cosmo items, but it shows how perverse and perverted the left has become, that what they're advocating for behind the scenes, they think people aren't noticing. Well, I am your designated guy to notice this stuff.
All right. Well, listen, this sounds fantastic. Everybody check out that column on a regular basis. Dan, we got so much show to do here. I got to let you go, but thanks again for coming on. I wish we could spend the entire hour with you, pal. It's just, it's that ping pong is the tennis ball theory of politics. They're shooting so many from that automatic shooter across the net, you don't know which ones to hit back today. But thanks for giving it a shot with us, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks. I'm going to get a really big racket, because that's what they've got.
Yeah, you get a really big racket. I'm going to get a really big glass of Jack. And we'll be back after these brief words.
Hey, this is Congressman Dave Bratt out of Virginia 7th, and you're listening to Red Nation Rising Radio.
Gene and Russ, back behind enemy lines, Red Nation Rising Radio Network. And we're joined now by the Director of Investigations and Research for Judicial Watch, Chris Farrell. Sir, thanks for coming on the show.
Great to be on with you.
And like I said to Russ, this is where I get to have some fun now, because we get to get legal wonky on the show. Russ is not liking this at all.
I can see the smile.
You can see. All right, so let's talk about what we were just talking about off air, about the news from a certain deposition of a certain IT professional attached to a certain political candidate for president.
Well,
name names.
Okay. Hillary Clinton. Talk about this deposition.
Sure. Your listeners will know that a judge here in D.C., in fact, 2 judges, have granted us discovery with respect to Hillary Clinton's emails. So what that means in regular English is we can take sworn depositions of Hillary Clinton's inner circle with respect to her emails, what they were doing, what they weren't doing, what happened to those records, how were they destroyed, all the details. And in the course of doing that, we've deposed, I guess, so far 4 people. But today, Brian Pagliano, the IT guy, the guy who actually set up the server, ran the system for her, was deposed by Judicial Watch. About an hour and a half long deposition where he invoked his Fifth Amendment rights 128 times, according to my colleague Paul Arphanides, who was there. We asked all of our questions. We got him on the record, and we got him saying he wants to invoke his rights of under the Fifth Amendment.
That's once every about 45 seconds or so, I would think.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So, I mean, we would get the question out, and he would say, thank you, but no thank you.
Now, is he represented by the Clinton campaign attorney, or does he have his own private counsel?
He has his own counsel.
Okay, so he's definitely going to be the fall guy then. If he's not in the camp, Russ, of the Clintons, that means he's not working with them. That means that they may be looking to scapegoat him later on.
But so what? I mean, what would typically happen to a guy like this? He was an IT guy,
right?
He installed stuff. I mean, why would he? And this is for the non-lawyers listening, like myself. Why would he invoke his Fifth Amendment right? I mean, the implication there is maybe he thinks he committed a crime.
Yeah.